Hi, I'm Helen. This is my third video for Writer's Edit, and today I wanted to talk to you about editor pet peeves. So the things that when you're submitting to publishers and publications, what other writers do that kind of tick editors off a little bit. Yeah, so myself and Kyra Banty, who's our deputy editor, were discussing our kind of pet peeves, I think is the best way of saying it. Yeah, what annoys us when it comes to submissions and the way writers who perhaps don't have that much experience tend to address editors and deal with feedback and things like that. So if you're an emerging writer, this video is definitely for you, and take note of some of the things, because these can be little things that you might not even know that you're doing. So number one, massive big deal, follow the guidelines. There are submission guidelines for every publisher, for every publication. There will be a page on their website that tells you exactly how they like to receive their submissions, whether it's via email, via a contact form on their site, whether they like to receive it in the post. Some people are still doing that. Those kind of details, along with how they like it spaced, along with what they actually want in submissions. Do they accept poetry? Do they accept short fiction? Do they want children's fiction but not adult fiction? All of these details are things you need to know before you click send, because chances are if you don't read that, you're going to annoy someone, and the last thing you want is an editor who is already irritated reading your work. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that both myself and the other editors from Writer's Edit would suggest is read the guidelines. They're your friend. You definitely want to read those. So, number two, don't explain your piece in the email or in the submission. We're of the kind of firm belief that if your writing is strong enough, your intentions for that work should be clear without you having to say anything. Don't send us a poem and say, this is an exploration of this theme, and you're supposed to invoke this feeling in the reader. Don't tell us that. We should be able to experience that for ourselves. And if we can't, then we've either got our own interpretation of your writing, which is absolutely fine. Writing and reading are very subjective activities. So there's no issue if we get something else out of the piece that you didn't intend. Number three, formatting. Formatting is something that is often stipulated in the submission guidelines, but if not, I think it's pretty universal that publications want double-spaced, they want their paragraphs indented, they want an easy-to-read font like Times New Roman. Please send it as a Word doc, PDF if you have to. We're not going to steal your work, which is what a lot of people think that a PDF is preventing. It's not. You can still grab text from a PDF if you really wanted to. If a submission guideline says don't send an attachment, put it in the body of your contact form or your email, do that, because the publisher is obviously trying to prevent having to download heaps and heaps of Word docs, possibly getting viruses on the computer, or the email is going through like 3 different people, 4 different people, and they don't each want to have to download something. They want to just be able to read it in the email. So that leads us back to the first point of read the submission guidelines. Number 4, don't start an argument with us. I have been so shocked with the amount of writers who think that arguing with an editor is appropriate. We're not saying that you have to agree with everything we're saying, but be respectful when you disagree, and acknowledge the fact that this person is taking time out of their day to read whatever piece you have created, and they are also like using up their energy. They're giving you their expertise, and for you to then kind of disrespect that by then arguing, and I mean in like in a very disrespectful way, like, no, you're totally wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's not on. Just say, oh, well, that wasn't my intention, or I was thinking a different direction. But again, you have to be open to change. That's what an editor is for. An editor is there to improve and refine your piece. And if you disagree with everything they say, why do you have an editor? Don't bother. You may as well just put it on your website and that's it, because you're clearly not open to changing and improving your work. So yeah, don't argue with us. And that leads to my fifth point, which kind of leads on from that. Don't be abusive. Again, I would have thought that's common knowledge. You don't abuse anyone. Don't send a nasty email back when you get a rejection. In the past, for Writer's Edit, I think we sent a couple of rejection emails regarding submissions for Kindling, and they were just a standard form rejection. Unfortunately, we couldn't personalise each one and provide feedback to each writer. We just didn't have the time or the resources to do that. But we received threats, people threatening to crash our site. We received nasty online reviews for Kindling, and it was very obvious who had written it. We had people saying that they were going to crash our event and ruin it and things like that. What's wrong with you? Like, don't abuse anyone. This is a professional capacity. Like, regardless of whether or not you've entered into a contract or whatever, you have to remain professional. And even if you're really torn up about a rejection, which sometimes we are, like, that's part of the game, don't then go and burn bridges with that relationship. You might, go off, and once you've cooled down, you might improve that piece, come back, and then they'll publish it. You never know. So don't be nasty, don't be abusive, and just remain professional. I don't think it's that hard. So yeah, those would be our pet peeves that myself and Cara have discussed lately. And yeah, takeaway: follow the submissions, don't abuse anyone. Pretty simple, right? So in terms of general tips for submitting and dealing with editors, be respectful, be grateful for their time, and if you need to go and cool off before you talk to them, do that, as opposed to burning your bridges and ruining that relationship. So that being said, happy submitting! Thanks for watching. See you later.